order. Today is Wednesday, March 27th, 9 a.m., and we are located here at the Grimes County Annex Building, 114 West Buffington Avenue, Anderson, Texas. At this time, we will call the meeting to order, and we'll have our invocation this morning by Pastor Charles Tompkins.
Let us pray. Father God, we come, first of all, thanking you for another day. And knowing, Father, you have given us a new day, but it's up to us to make the moment of this day. We ask your blessings upon this court, upon the commissioners, the judge, and everything that is done here. And Father, your word teaches us to acknowledge you, and you will direct our path. May everything done here today be decently and in order. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pledge to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Pastor Tompkins. We are now up to our public comment period. While we look forward to from hearing from the citizens of Grimes County, we ask that you make your comments during this public portion and that they be limited to 2 minutes. Do we have any comments from the floor?
Yes. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm Edward Johnson from Pannisville, Blackberry Community. I come today to say, in all things give thanks. Thank you, Mr. Walker. We got all our trees and limbs and everything cut back. We've been asking for years, and we finally got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
Yes, sir. Do we have any? That's rare, but thank God. I'd like to say our judge is out this morning, and also Commissioner Dobianski, who is attending the Special Olympics event in Navasota. So if there are no other public comments from the floor, we'll move on to consent agenda items number 3 and number 4. To approve the list of treasurers, to approve the treasurer's list of claims and bills. Number 4, to approve the minutes of previous Commissioners Court meetings, special meeting on March 6, 2019 at 9 a.m. The workshop meeting on March 11, 2019 at 9 a.m. See the attached minutes. Were there any questions on the list of claims?
If there are no questions, I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items number 3 and 4.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve consent agenda items 3 and 4. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We'll move on to item number 5, quarterly interpretation event from Texas A&M AgriLife County Extension Agents Alan Holman and Carla Hayes.
Morning, and thank y'all for having us this morning. Give one to Judge and Commissioner Dobianski.
Okay.
We're here for our second quarterly interpretation event to let y'all know kind of what we've been doing for the last few months. We have put together a folder for you. In the folder has flyers of all upcoming events that we're doing for me and Miss Carla. We've also put together our second quarterly interpretation front and back piece. The front, programs, description, and relevance is us basically meeting with people in the community, asking Grimes County what they want us to be doing. That's ongoing, continual. We've been meeting with people and talking, and that's where these programs are coming from. These are coming from people in the community. Our program response there has some updates of what we'll be doing the next few months. We've got 4-H county district competitions and state competitions coming up. We've got big time in D9, which is District 9. 18 counties will be competing for 4-H events. We've got tons of kids ready to go, signed up for that already. We've got shooting sports coming up in April. They'll be competing at the district level. We then will go into the summer and compete in state events. All those that have advanced from district will go to state and compete against the whole state of Texas. We have a landowner series that's ongoing. We've completed the first 2 already. There's 6 programs within that series. We're going to be getting the 3rd one kicked off on April 25th, I believe. That's a Grimes County and a Waller County program right there. We've got a feral hog program coming up. That should be really good. We've got a lot of people really interested in coming out there, learning how to manage those hogs. We also have a big 5-hour CEU program that has been done in the past in February. But because I was so far behind in 4-H, it took me a while to get it on the calendar. But we've now got it on the calendar. It's going to be May 9th at the Navasota Livestock Auction Barn. We have the county fair coming up in June. So right now we're going out and we're checking animals for all the kids and shearing lambs and telling them adjust feeding programs to this and that to just kind of tweak them where they get those animals ready for that county show. Miss Carla's got a few events coming up. I'm going to let her talk about her events, and then we'll talk about the back with all the pictures.
Okay, so some of the events I got coming up will be a workshop for all the kids who's participating in Big Time in D9. It's a food show and food challenge workshop. So it'll be hands-on, give them experience of what it'd be like to actually compete in district. And also, I'm still doing my car seat event all the way until August. So if you know anyone who needs car seats or booster seats, just tell them to come by my office or give me a call, and I can either install a new one or check theirs to make sure it's in the car properly. And also, we have our 4-H spaghetti dinner that's coming up. And it's Friday, April 26th, and you can place your orders. And we also will be delivering the spaghetti plates, but it's a 5 plate minimum.
Excuse me, Ms. Carter, could you step to the mic so our internet world can hear you?
That's not at all.
Okay, let's start all over.
No,
Oh.
go ahead.
Oh, and that's what I have coming up so far. And then, like Alice said, we'll get about the pictures on the back.
All right.
They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, so what we do on our interpretation piece is we put on the back pictures of what we've done the last few months. On here we've got private applicator training that we've done at the office. That's for anyone that needs a license to spray restricted herbicides. They can come in there, we give them the training, and they go take the test at Houston or Waco, wherever Texas Department of Agriculture wants them to take the test. We also have a picture of our first series of the landowner series that we did. We have county roundup on there. We've got 3 pictures across the board. That was a huge success. We offered about 15 to 20 competitions throughout the day so those kids could see what it was going to be like to compete at the district level to help them better be prepared. We also have on here our extension office. If any of y'all have been out there in the past few months, it's a forest out there to get into the extension office. Well, our master gardeners have kicked off the 2nd day of spring. They went out there and they've been working in the flower bed, and it looks really nice now. You can walk in without worrying about something jumping out of the bushes to get you. It was pretty woolly up there for a while, but they've done a great job starting that. Also, Miss Carla's got 3 pictures on here with her. She's done a lunch and learn program, a health program, and a car seat program. If you want to elaborate on those, you can.
Okay, so the Lunch and Learn program, I worked with the senior citizen Buckingham and also at Golden Creek Nursing Home. And what it is a program where we serve lunch, or they can bring in stuff they like to eat. And then I'll play a video and we'll go over different topics like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and stuff like that. And with the health program, this one was actually, I worked with a school in Bryan. And it was just like gardening. It's a Grow You program where they teach gardening and then how to eat healthy. And then the car seat program, this is just a picture of all the car seats we actually still have in the office that we're trying to get rid of.
Okay, would you like to say what days they can come?
Just give me a call, and then whenever I'm available, I'll do it. Because we have so many. At first it was by appointments, but it's not by appointments no more. It's whenever they're available and I'm available.
So car seats are available
Car
if they don't
seats.
have them, or if they think there's a old and need checking. Okay.
Or if it's expired, because car seats do expire.
Oh.
So if the car seat expired, it's been using, you don't know the history on it or anything like that, just give me a call. We'll take a look at it. If you need a new one, we have them in the office.
All right, thank you.
Oh, and also I actually did a Black History program at, is it Brule? Brule Elementary, and it turned out nice. So the kids had fun. I couldn't put the pictures on here because they under 18, but yeah, it turned out, I did it for the whole school.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Hayes.
So that's kind of a real quick overview of what we've done the last few months. We're continuing to stay busy. I don't think we've ever caught up since I got here, but that's a good thing. That means we always got something to do. So back to the front page, program results. What that is we're taking surveys at some of these programs we're doing, and we're learning the growth. We're developing a statistical data sheet where it's showing our growth in Grimes County throughout 2019. So we've got some data now. We've got 2 months worth of what we're seeing as a little bit of growth. So that's really good. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension at the county, district, and state level, they have identified issues that are critical across the state. And in each county, we're implementing these two: disaster readiness and recovery for Texas, and wildlife and zoonotic diseases. Those are the two most critical issues that Extension as a statewide sees. And so what me and Ms. Carla are doing, we're implementing bits and pieces of those in our programs. For example, the feral hog program. So that's what this 2-page thing says in a nutshell.
Thank you.
That's what we're doing. We're staying busy. As soon as we're out of here, we're off to do more stuff.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you all giving us an update on your
Yes, ma'am.
progress you're making.
We will have another update after the county fair because we're swamped until the county fair. So it'll be like July before we have our third one.
We'll just keep being amazing.
We're just trying to work.
Okay, thank you. We are up to item number 6 now. Discuss and take action to approve the Avenue Insights and Analytical to digitize vital records by our county clerk, Vanessa Brzezinski.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So this is a proposal from Avenue. Avenue is formerly Conduit. So we currently have a contract with Conduit to digitize our property records, our land records, and that project is about halfway complete. Our images are now online back to 1909. This is a new proposal that would include our vital records, our birth records, our death records, and our marriage records. Currently, these records are on microfilm, and this would enable us to transfer those images from microfilm to digital to be preserved, and then the records that are public record could be put online for the public to view.
Okay, and when you say for the public, that's marriage license, what type?
Marriage license on a public record, and then any births that are older than 75 years and any deaths that are older than 50 years are
And-
public record.
So the public would not have to come into office, they would
Correct.
be able to then go online
Yes,
and
ma'am.
access this? Is there a fee associated with?
Right now, to view or a document, there is a fee, and to print a document, there is a fee. It's $1 per page.
$1 per page?
Yes, ma'am.
And so some of the revenue that you have coming in from some of those type of fees is what you're looking at proposing to pay for this with, I think I saw, what, $69,264?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Currently, we have two funds. One is called Fund 21, which is our records management fund, and then we have Fund 54, which is our records archive fund. And so there is a records management fee and a records archive fee charged for every transaction in our office. And so that money has been accumulating over the years, and that's what's paying for these digitization projects.
Okay. We spoke a little bit yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
You said we currently have a contract with Conduit.
Yes, ma'am, and that contract was signed in Commissioner's Court last year in 2018. That was to digitize the property records.
where I'm going with that is, we have a contract expiring in September of 2019?
Yes, that is our contract for their services that we do on a daily basis when we record documents.
Okay,
That contract was a 5-year contract, and that expires in September of this year.
okay,
So this proposal is separate from that contract. This proposal is estimating that this project would take about 6 months.
6 months.
So I would think that those would probably kind of end at the same time.
If-
Before y'all vote or anything on this, Vanessa, are they a member of the buy board or something?
I asked them if they were a member of the buy board, and they said yes, and that came up last year with Commissioners Court, and David said they were. Now, we're trying to verify that,
It's,
and they haven't been able to find it on there, so
we've even called by board.
you did call them, okay.
And they said
So,
they're not.
they're telling us they are, we're finding out they're
They're
not,
gonna
so.
have to provide proof of that since the
Yes,
buy
ma'am.
board, has said that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll need to.
And
go
I've
for
sent
bid.
her, an email for verification on that, even though she, verbally told me that. So I'll have to get that for y'all,
Yeah,
definitely.
otherwise, we'll need to go out for bid.
Yes,
Or you
ma'am.
could find someone on the co-op or
Sure.
a company, which
Right.
would be.
The advantage with going with Avenue is because they already currently have all of our microfilm. And so, there would need no added cost for a company to come in and scan from the books because it's already on the microfilm. I did get a proposal from a company just to do our marriage records, and it was gonna be, $55,000 just to do marriage records alone, because they would have to come in and do them from the books.
Now, would this be sealed bids?
Yes,
Okay.
all bids were sealed.
So that, just to clarify, this project is in conjunction with what you've taken on with regard to maintaining the vital records, that, the new projects that you've got going on. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I guess my question would be, you need to probably determine, is that correct? If they're saying they're not, then it seems as if we're gonna have to go out for bid.
Yes, ma'am. And if that's the case, then that's what we'll do. Yeah.
All right, so would you prefer to table this item
I
until you
think
find
probably
that
that would be
out?
the best, so that we know what we're looking at. Yes, ma'am.
Has the county attorney, have you had an opportunity?
Yes, ma'am, we raised the issue, I guess it was yesterday, about the competitive bid question, but there's also the possibility it's a DIR contract. I don't know whether that's the case or not.
Oh, that
Vanessa, I
might
think,
have
is
been
gonna
what it
look into
was.
that.
Yeah.
So, since that question
When you say
remains,
DIR,
if they're technology services, you can get a contract approved by the state. It's almost the equivalent of the buy board. If you get a DIR contract approved by the state, then effectively people can contract with that entity for technology services.
okay,
Question is whether this would apply. Corey said she looked and didn't see it on the website, and so
Okay.
Vanessa was gonna ask that question as well.
Okay.
I'd also add that this is a proposal, this is not a contract.
Right.
So it doesn't have a place for anybody to sign, it doesn't say
Right. No.
anything about the dollar charge, 50 cents here and 50 cents there. So this lays out what they're gonna charge us, but I don't think it contains all the terms, so.
maybe the next,
Certainly would be appropriate, the next one is a contract, but I think certainly would be appropriate to table it until we can get answers to those questions.
Yeah. That's fine.
also, I remember a discussion, maybe with, Mr. Paskett about discretionary exemption. Oh, I'm
don't
not
know.
sure, it was conduit, but before
Yes,
then
it
it
was.
was.
And it may have been that DIR. It may have been. I don't
Okay.
remember.
Well, if you're at, I don't know what the discretionary would be, this is not sole source, and I don't know how it would fit public emergency or public health or
Okay.
Right.
something else, so I'm not sure what discretionary, we can have this conversation again, but the point, of course, is, and I certainly have no reason to disbelieve that Avenue, already having our microfilm, will provide a good service and may come in with the lowest number. But this is exactly why competitive bidding was created, was to be sure that the taxpayer is getting the most bang for the buck. And so
Right.
if we can't confirm those things, even if there was a discretionary exemption that you could take, you still have to ask yourself, do you want to take it?
I'd ask Vanessa, would she look and see why we went with them before And that was one of the things that kind of popped up in my head was if we went because of that.
Yeah, I don't remember a discretionary exemption to apply.
And I was asking you, who were they before it was Conduit?
Okay, so originally they were ACS.
ACS.
And then they were Xerox, and then they were Conduit, and now they're called Avenue. It's still the same company.
All right.
They
You
just
remember the
keep-
ACS? Okay. All right, thank
All right,
you.
thank you so much. You wanna go on to the next one?
Yes, we're going to table item number 6 until further investigation.
Yes, ma'am.
At this particular time, we'll move on to item number 7 to discuss and approve the e-recording contract with Avenue Insights and Analytical. See attachment number 7.
So this basically is an agreement with Avenue, again, to e-record documents. And what that entails is that title companies and other companies wishing to file documents with our office could do so electronically, over the internet. All the transactions would happen electronically, the payments. We would receive the document electronically, we would certify it electronically, accept the payment, and then return it to them electronically. So technically, they could get the document the same day. Currently, we receive these through the mail, then we have to scan them, and then we have to, deposit the check, and then we have to mail the documents back to them. So this will cut down on our postage cost and turnaround time, and perhaps, be a more revenue for the county, because I think there is an extra fee for that.
Would this fall under the requirement for bidding as well? Is this $50,000?
There's no money involved with
Oh,
this.
okay.
It's
It's
just
just-
a service that we would offer, that the client would pay for. There's
Oh,
no
okay.
money involved with the county at all. There's no fee for this. And there's no charge to the county.
Okay, is there a fee to the public for this?
Yes, there is a fee to the public. I don't know what that is. It's similar, we charge a recording fee already, so it would probably be that
So
plus
it's
a
the recording
processing
fee,
charge,
yeah.
probably of a few dollars.
Mr. Fultz, have you had an opportunity to review this particular contract?
I have, and I provided Ms. Brzezinski
Yeah, I have his notes.
my notes on it, and I'll say this. When folks hand me a contract and they say, is it okay? Well, if it's agreement for you to do something and and the other party to do something, it's a contract. It goes on a napkin or not. And so what I typically do is look for things that stand out to me to be egregious, or that, that we've seen before and that we want to avoid. And if those things don't stand out to me, then oftentimes I'll make my notes that I want the department to see and be sure to appreciate what those obligations are going to be. I would say, for purposes of anybody who cares, if you have a question about a contract, you certainly come to me and say, let's sit down and talk about it line by line and go over that. But when it's a document that's handed to me, as it was in this case, I made my notes to Ms. Brzezinski, and my notes were primarily things I wanted to be sure that she was aware of. So there's not anything that I'm horribly concerned about. This is equivalent of e-file. So now we have e-file as mandatory in civil actions where folks, if they want to file a document in a civil case, they have to file it via the internet. This is allowing people to e-file documents to be recorded in the county clerk's office. So it's not a civil case, it's recording documents. But the one thing I point out, and can't stop progress, and probably just a case of an old dog being concerned about nothing, but I don't know how you sign electronically and also notarize electronically and then record electronically, because it seems to me if those things can be done just by typing your name and typing a notary's name, it's going to be susceptible to fraud. I mean, you could do a deed of my property to someone else, and all you're doing is typing my name in, right? I mean, if it's not signed by me, the question is, how do you e-notarize? I'm sure there's a way to do all of this, but
There is.
it just raises that concern for me, is that it's the same. I guess it would be the same thing as if you signed a deed, signed my name to a deed giving away my property, you'd have to find some notary that was willing to go along with that fraud, right? Well, if everything's typed in now, you still have to have a way that the notary is going to confirm that they witnessed you sign the document. Well, if the notary's signature is typed in as well, couldn't the same guy typing in my name type in the notary's name? So I assume there's a way to deal with that. I just raised that issue that I assume everything's going to be fine, but this is a new world, this is a new day, and I just want to be sure that Ms. Brzezinski was on top of that.
Yes, and actually at my last conference, we did have a class on e-notarizing, and it is something that is new, but it is possible. But I'm gonna assume that a lot of these documents have probably already been notarized on paper and are just being scanned in.
Right, and that would be level 1 or level 2, but this level
Right.
3 on
Yeah,
page
and
1
that's
says
new,
you
but
can
it
e-sign.
is a new avenue that you have to go through a very complex verification process with, you know, identification and things like that, but it is something that is being used now.
Right, well,
And
there's
they-
some, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, and I have seen them collect signatures electronically, you know,
Right, well, I
the
as an
actual
attorney-
signature of it, but.
Yeah, you can certainly do that, and that's level 2. It says you sign the name and then scan it in, and then you e-file it. But level 3 is you're typing in electronic signature. You're not signing, you're typing in electronic signature. So that raises the question of, if you can sit at your computer and type in my name, how can the notary also type in the name, and can somebody do something that is fraudulent in that transaction? And the reason I raise it, I guess, is on occasion the clerk's office has asked me to look at a document and say, hey, can we record this? Must we record this? Because there are certain requirements where they have to record it, even though the title may make no sense, even though it may not be a document we're familiar with. Sometimes we're required to file that. She may find herself in that position where she may have some suspicion about this e-file, about this e-notary, about the e-signature. We may find ourselves having to figure out a different set of rules when the clerk is required to record that. She'll be much more aware of those rules than I will be.
And we do have the option to review these records before we accept them, and we can always have the option to reject it if it's questionable. So it's not like we're just automatically being forced to accept them. We still review them for what all is required, and then we reject them if it's not in compliance.
And I think probably most counties are going to this if they're not already there. I mean, it's just progress, but we're going to have to figure out a new set of problems when this progress occurs, I suspect.
All right.
So have you talked to the local title companies advising them that this is kind of the direction?
Well, as soon as this gets approved, I'm gonna make them aware of it, yes. I don't know if this is something, a lot of times we get stuff from out of state, you know, land transactions that happened, you know, outside of this county, but it's county property. So I don't know how many companies would actually utilize this, but maybe once they're made aware of it, they may be more inclined.
Will they have to purchase new software on their end to utilize this?
No. It would be a web-based system.
Okay.
And I would say, as we all know, when you're dealing with technology, sometimes it's difficult to reduce to writing all of the things that are going to happen, the bells and whistles and the widgets and whatever, and maybe I'm just too dense to pick it up. But just know that this has a 30-day termination. So if she gets into this
Right.
and what they're providing isn't worth the flip, or it's too confusing, or it's rife with fraud, then she can get out of it.
Are there any other questions concerning the e-recording contract?
I move to approve e-recording contract with Avenue Insights and Analytics.
Second.
All right. We have a motion to approve the e-recording contract with Avenue Insights and Analyticals. All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, Ms. Vanessa. We'll move on now to item number 8, discuss and take action regarding Mr. Walton's request for a variance from section 232.001 subdivision plat requirements of the Texas Local Government Code for 16.443 acres of land located adjacent to County Road 108 to be divided into one lot, 11.943 acres, and 3 lots, of 1.5 acres each. See attachment number 8. Emergency Management Subdivision Coordinator, Mr. Lilly, you have the floor.
Commissioners, Mr. Walton reached out to me, it's been about a week or so ago, and asked what did he need to do. He was, with his plans to divide his property, he had been advised by, I believe, his Commissioner Mallett, to contact me on that to check and see if he was able to do so without doing a plat. I advised him to contact Commissioner Mallett to describe to him what he was looking to do and to submit a formal application to Commissioner Mallett for a variance request. That's what he chose to do, is to request a variance. After reviewing the subdivision rules, I found that the only reason that he would not be able to be granted an exception from the subdivision rules is that he does have direct access, as you can see by the picture I provided to you. A copy of this is basically a proposal. This is not a survey, but it kind of gives you an idea of what he's looking to do with his parcel of land. All the lots would have direct access onto 108, but the way our subdivision rules are written, it says that if there are 2 or more resulting parcels of 5 acres or less, then a plat is required. So, and he did submit a request to Commissioner Mallett, and Commissioner Mallett then reached out to me and said, go ahead and put this on the agenda as a variance request.
So the variance request is to not plot the property?
Not have to submit a plat, yes. The property is not previously platted, so there's no replat required, no revision of plat required.
Just be a meets and bounds survey upon the sale,
Yes, sir.
Upon the,
to sell.
okay. So they all have access to County Road 108?
Yes, ma'am. That's on the upper and the top edge of the parcel.
And what I hear you saying is as each one is sold, it'll be surveyed at
Or
that particular
maybe
time?
surveyed all at one time, most likely, before it's sold.
And they're gonna be divided into 1.5 acres apiece. Is there any problem then with sewer? I mean, water, sewer? Is it large enough?
Yes. Yes, it meets the county's requirements of minimum size of 1.5 acres.
Okay. Because there's no formal water in the area. They have to put their own wells in.
No, there's
I don't know.
water too.
There's water there. That's-
Yeah. Mr. Walton is here in
Oh,
case you have
okay.
any
How you
questions for
doing,
him
Mr.
also.
You said there is water?
Wixom, there's Wixom water.
Okay, all right.
I would just point out to you, Commissioners, that anytime that you're asked to grant a variance, you have to ask yourself, why is this different than the cases that you want your general rules to apply to? You created those rules. The state requirement is 10 acres or more existing on a county road. You reduced the size to 5 to make it less onerous on landowners, where a plat wouldn't be required if they broke their property into tracts that were 5 or more. The Commissioners Court, as you will recall, and Commissioner Cox may not recall this, he certainly employed in and around the county at the time, but not in this capacity. Years ago, when BDIS wanted to put in a wastewater treatment plant, BDIS found money with the Texas Water Development Board, and to the tune, I think, of $1 million. And in order to get that money to help build the wastewater treatment plant, which was certainly needed, BDIS had to adopt the model subdivision rules. Now, the model rules are slightly different than the general rules. The general rules are so that you have an opportunity to oversee roads and drainage, to be sure that that's provided for, so that you don't find yourself in a place 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now where the residents on these 1.5 acres are mad because there's a road or drainage problem. And I'd point out that you have this road that's over here to the opposite side, I guess, of the remaining tract, skinny road that runs beside those 3 tracks. I don't know how that impacts the subdivision or if there's any negative consequence or not at all. But that's the reason for the general rules, is to oversee roads and drainage. Then the model rules came along, and those were to look at water and wastewater. And so it is an opportunity for the Commissioners Court to ensure that the folks that are going to be buying these tracts today or in the future are going to have adequate provision for roads, drainage, water, wastewater. In order for BDIs to get the wastewater treatment plant, they had to adopt the model rules, and they had to convince the Commissioners Court to adopt the model rules at the same time. So this court adopted those model rules. Those model rules say that if you end up with 2 or more tracts that are under 5 acres, there has to be a plat and there has to be some showing of what the plan is for water and wastewater. All of that to say, this is your opportunity to take, as is the case in every circumstance where someone is either filing a plat or seeking a variance, this is your opportunity to say, we want to provide some protection for the folks in the future such that there's not a complaint with the county that those people weren't adequately looked after or protected. If you find this circumstance to be one where those things aren't a concern, we haven't heard necessarily whether it's going to be aerobic or conventional or if there's a plan for septic. We've heard it's public water, but if you don't see a road, drainage, water, wastewater problem, then certainly you can consider a variance. But I just suggest that you keep in mind, when you grant a variance, and some of you may remember Commissioner Krieger saw us doing this time and again where we were dividing mom and pop's tract into 2 pieces, but we kept requiring a variance or application for a variance because there was no exception that applied, but yet almost every time there was a variance granted. And so at some point the court said, well, duh, if we're going to grant a variance every time, it should be the rule, not the exception. And so we changed the rule. I would say the same thing applies here, is that just be sure that there's an appreciation for the things that you have an opportunity to monitor and that you're choosing not to. And if that's the case, maybe we ought to consider a change to the rule. Not necessarily because of one variance, but if you see things multiple times where you're granting variances time and again, it may be that the rules need to be, we need to reconsider the rules.
Also, I wanted to say while you were speaking, you said a small road. That looks like an easement. Is that an easement?
It's an access easement.
Okay.
Well, and tell me to shut up when you've heard enough. If the property in its entirety where the blue outline is, if that's their property, and they are carving out that long skinny strip, it may be in fee, may be fee simple, which is different than easement. Easement is, I grant you a right to cross my fee. This looks like their fee. Now, they may have an easement from somebody else, though, at least as far as this map's concerned, it looks like that road dies back there at their house, or whoever's home or building that is. So I don't know, the property owners certainly know better than I, but when you start using that term, some people think easement just means a road. But you can have a fee strip where you own the minerals, you own the entirety, and it also has a road on it. That ain't an easement. So I don't know that it matters to the consideration. I don't know that it changes things. But keep in mind that, you know, with roads come road structures and drainage issues. And so when you build a mound and put rock on it, and then rain comes and it goes downhill, it's got to go somewhere. And whether that's impacting this first 1.5 against the road, I haven't a clue. These would all be things for Mr. Lilly, for Mr. Walker. You're welcome, Harry. I'll throw you under the bus. For Commissioner Mallett. You've got these designees, you got these folks that are, you know, boots on the ground that are saying, yeah, we've looked at it, looks fine to us. We don't have concerns about water, wastewater, drainage, and roads, and this is appropriate for a variance. If you're not convinced as a court that all that's the case, then I'm not sure you're in a position to approve the variance.
Mr. Walker, have you had an opportunity to view this?
I have not on this particular application. I've been out of town yesterday and I've been pretty busy. Mr. Lilly and I have not had an opportunity to get together on it.
Okay. Have you, are you familiar with the property?
Yeah, I don't see any issues with anything impacted in that area there.
Mr. Walker, do you need to see this drawing?
It's across from the football field. That's what that driveway is on the other side.
Which, the driveway across from there? Okay.
It's the football field there in Iowa.
And again, that's just a proposed line drawing. I believe, Mr. Walton, this is, your intent is to do at least 30 foot wide, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The strip, that's what you're making, 30
Yes,
feet
that's
wide.
actually deeded easement.
Hmm?
Because there's property behind
It is a deeded
Yes.
easement? Okay. Now, are you the owner of the whole piece that I'm looking at, the 11 point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you say there's property behind there, is that, are you the landowner? I mean,
Well,
the
I'm the
house?
landowner, but there's a property behind me.
Oh, there's
that
one
only has
behind you?
access on the deed of easement,
Okay.
so.
So behind, once you go behind you, that looks like it dead end.
It
Dead end.
actually continues
It continues?
further back another 800 feet at least,
Mhm.
past where the buildings are there.
Mhm. Any thoughts? Would you prefer looking at it?
I would prefer to look at it in a little more detail. I hesitate to speak out against it, just having seen it this morning and not had an opportunity to discuss it with anyone. However, I guess my question is, what is the basis of the variance request? And my training has always been that you should not issue variances for cases of financial hardship only. And if the only reason for the variance request is to avoid the cost of doing a plat, we shouldn't really be granting that variance. So, but again, I have not looked at this particular situation, so I'm a little hesitant to throw too many darts at it at this point.
Okay. Is there a concern if we push this back and let our road and bridge guy look at this?
Mr. Walton?
I mean, not terribly, no. I don't see any reason why you have any issues with it.
That would, we could put it on the next agenda and give him an opportunity to go out and look at it, to make sure drainage is, there's no issue with the drainage in that area.
Are you aware what the plans are for the septic? It's a
It
roll.
would be a aerobic septic, so
Okay.
I actually discussed it with Mr. McDougal over at Texas Jet Systems, who actually does and asked him as far as what issues there might be, and he said there's plenty of room there, and the soil's, pretty good. In fact, it's my house right behind it, so I'd have pretty good concern if there were issues with it. So, but I think the plans are, there's a home builder who's willing to put in some 2,000 square foot stick-built homes, which would being right there across from the schools is a pretty desirable location for.
What I can do, commissioners, is also have either Kat or one of her folks go with us out there to do a site eval, just to take a look at it. I'm not doubting what the installer may have said, but, sometimes, it's beneficial to have them go out also just to look and see if they feel that, just that from what they can see, that the land would be amenable to an aerobic system.
Okay. What do you think about that, Commissioner?
That'll be fine, I think, to get all eyes on it. To my knowledge on the area of the drainage, most of the drainage is coming from the other side of the road and coming down that ditch, coming from the north.
Okay. Do I hear a motion perhaps from you to?
Did you want
put it
to
on-
wait, or, put it to next week, sir? I think it's okay now, but if y'all feel
Well,
better
at
about
least
waiting.
I would feel better about it.
Okay. We
Since
just
he
table this for
haven't had
next.
an opportunity, and he does work with our subdivision coordinator to just put his eyes on it.
Okay. We'll put it on next week's agenda then.
Okay, all right. We're gonna table the item until the agenda next week. All right. Well, we're up to item number 9, to discuss and take action to approve the additional appointment of the following members to the Brazos Valley Homeland Security Advisory Board. Mr. Dan Sharon, Chief Dan Sharon.
This was a request from the Firefighters Association that they have somebody from the firefighter side of the house on the Homeland Security Advisory Council. We already have good representation across the board, but we don't have any firefighter representation. Yes. So after they took a vote at the last meeting as to who they wanted to have represented, and Chief Sharon agreed to accept that role. But it has to go through the formal appointment process. We've already done our renewal. If you remember, I think it was back in January, we renewed our membership for the HSAC, and that's been approved by the HSAC board. But any subsequent members that are appointed still have to go through commissioners.
So there's no limit on the number of
No.
appointments?
The only thing is, you know, in our bylaws, it requires regular attendance, and if they do track attendance of members, so I don't know what the cutoff is, but if a particular member is not attending regularly, then they're dropped off the rolls. So,
So I move that we approve the additional appointment of Dan Sharon to the Brazos Valley Homeland Security Advisory Committee.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the additional appointment of Chief Dan Sharon to the Brazos Valley Homeland Security Advisory Board. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We're now up to our road and bridge report. Our road and bridge engineer, Mr. Harry Walker, will oversee the next 4 items. Item number 10, consider and take action to approve the special road use agreement for Apache Corporation. See attachment number 10.
Good morning, everyone. Apache Corporation's come in and they're planning on drilling a new well on County Road 126. We have been out and met with them and evaluated their route. They were using County Road 128 and 126 to access their property, their site. So they have met all our requirements regarding this application. We're recommending that it be approved.
Commissioner Mallett, is that in your area?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I move to approve the special road use agreement for Apache Corporation for County Roads 128 and 126.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the special road use agreement for Apache Corporation. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We'll move on to item number 11, consideration and possible action for the award of a contract for asphalt and emulsion. See attachment number 11.
This is one of our, we call them annual contracts. This one is actually a semi-annual contract because of price fluctuations. We bid it in the fall and again in the spring. Under this contract, they provide the asphalt emulsions that we use in our chip sealing process and some of the other road work. In the past, Cleveland Asphalt has had this contract. We received 4 bids this time around. Martin Asphalt Company was the low bidder. There's a spreadsheet there that shows the different products. We bid a number of different products and got pricing on them. As it turns out, Martin was low in all categories. We have not worked with Martin in the past. I don't have any background with them, but I see no reason not to award the contract to them at this point in time. And again, this will be a 6-month contract. We'll get a chance to redo it again next fall.
Okay.
Where is their headquarters? You know?
One thing I would point out, if you look at the bottom of the spreadsheet, the fluctuation in prices from our contract last year, some of the items have gone up dramatically. 53% increases in a couple of the items, 24% on another, and the other 2 were essentially flat. But we are going to see some increased prices. Unfortunately, the CRS2 and the RC250 are the products we use the most of, so it will have an impact on our budget.
So the RC250 increased by 1%?
That went up only 1%, but the CRS2 went up by 53%.
Okay.
And that's just a reflection of the changes in the oil industry, price increases.
Okay. Well, I will make the motion to award the contract to Martin Asphalt Company for asphalts and emulsions.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to award the contract for asphalt and emulsions to Martin Asphalt Company. All of those in favor said aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move on to item number 12. Consideration and possible approval for the second renewal of Strike Magellan Pipeline Special Road Use and Indemnity Agreement. See attachment number 12.
As the agenda item points out, this is the second renewal of Strike's special road use permit. They're working on the Magellan pipeline. Commissioner Cox and I met with them this morning to discuss some of the issues revolving around that construction. I think we had a satisfactory meeting, and we've received some assurances that they will try to keep their drivers and their operations in a little bit better check. The good news is they're also telling us that if the weather holds, they may be essentially done with the heavy construction here next month and a half, which will be great for everyone. And then final cleanup and everything by sometime in June. So this may be the last permit renewal that they need, and I think everybody would be glad to be done and have this project behind us.
Yeah, just to follow up on what Mr. Walker said, we had a meeting this morning concerning some of the issues that have been brought up. And I walked away from the meeting feeling very good. They were very receptive to some of the issues that we presented and made a commitment to do better and make changes in a positive direction. So, I think it is their intention. I don't think it was ever their intention to do anything wrong per se, and I do think it's their intention to improve some of the issues and address some of the issues that Mr. Walker and I had this morning.
Were they weather-related issues?
Some of them were burdened by weather-related issues, but not all of them.
Not all of them, okay. All right.
So if there's no other discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the second renewal of the Strike Magellan Pipeline Special Road Use and Indemnity Agreement.
Second.
All right. We have a motion to approve the second renewal with Strike Special Road Use and Indemnity Agreement. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now up to item number 13. Consider approval of the engineering services agreement with Gessner Engineering for the GLO Hurricane Harvey Infrastructure Project.
This is the actual contract with Gessner Engineering for assistance in the design and application of the project to be done under the GLO grant application associated with Hurricane Harvey. Previously, the court approved a hiring resolution to authorize us to hire them, followed on by negotiations and getting the contract in final form. This is a contract form that's provided by the GLO. So there's some terminology and things in there that are specific to their contract with us. There's some of the attachments that are referred to are actually in the master contract between GLO and the county and not attached here too. Our legal team did have an opportunity to look at this. I think everybody's comfortable that the contract language is satisfactory. What they're proposing for fee is within GLO's guidelines. They set limits on the maximum percentage fee that they will pay. Now, we can pay more than that, but anything above their percentages ends up coming directly out of the county's pocket. But this is within those percentages, and I would recommend that it be approved at this time.
there's no discussion, I move to approve the engineering services agreement with Gessner Engineering for the GLO CDBG Hurricane Harvey Infrastructure Project.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the engineering services with Gessner Engineering for the GLO Hurricane Harvey Infrastructure Project. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move into our road and bridge report.
Good news is the weather has turned much more favorable for our operations. We've been trying to take advantage of it. We're putting out a lot of rock on the roads right now and getting caught up on some of the grading and blading that has suffered through the winter. Keep your fingers crossed it stays that way for a while. But that's been our main emphasis. The drainage crew is finishing up their project on County Road 132, as you'll see. They've taken a lot of material out of the ditches in there. The ditches are coming around nicely. That was one of the roads that was most heavily impacted particularly by the October storm we had that resulted in our latest disaster declaration. We're finally getting that straightened up and back in good shape. Elsewhere, we've got the side ditch machine is operating again. They've gone back to work. Combination of having mechanical issues taken care of, and again with the wet weather conditions, we didn't want to put them out in the ditches through part of the winter, but they're back in operation now, so we'll start seeing the benefits of that again. Elsewhere, continuing to work on our various different grant projects. The 2015 grant, we have Goodwin Laster is in the design process now. We just signed on Gessner Engineering for the Hurricane Harvey grant from 2017, and then we are still waiting for the contract from the GLO for the 2016 grant. So not quite sure why they've gotten out of sequence, but they have. But we are continuing to talk with GLO, and they're asking questions and getting additional information for the 2016 grant. But we're going to have our hands full here shortly once that one hits. Elsewhere, we're starting into our summer paving operations. We're getting set up to do a major reconstruction on Link Road, County Road 421 in the industrial park. We've had some soil borings taken on that. We're looking at doing some base stabilization on that and go back with hot mix just to deal with the heavier traffic, the heavy weight traffic we have on that road. I would also point out this week on Thursday, we have 2 demonstration projects going on out on County Road 446. We have a vendor, Base Seal, that's coming in, is going to do a demonstration of their product, which is a base stabilization product that is applied to the road base that helps make it more durable. And then Wirtgen is bringing out a reclaimer, which is a piece of equipment about the size of this room. It's kind of impressive that they can come in and basically grind up an entire road very readily, and then we inject an asphalt emulsion into that ground up material, recompact it to create a stabilized base. We're going to do Base Seal's product in the morning, and then the asphalt emulsion in the afternoon. Wirtgen is providing the equipment.
Who is?
Wirtgen, it's WIRTGEN, equipment manufacturer. They're providing the machinery to do that. So it'll be a side-by-side comparison of these 2 different products for base stabilization. And what we're looking at is evaluating the effectiveness of this for giving us more durable road base, where we can maybe prolong the life cycle, get more years of service out of these roads without having to do some constant maintenance. If you're interested, We're gonna be down on 446, in the section between 407 and 408 on Thursday, starting about 8 in the morning.
Tomorrow or?
Tomorrow. And it'll be going on all day long, so if you've got a few minutes, the equipment is impressive, the operations are impressive. I think it'll be interesting. And fortunately, the weather's gonna cooperate, it looks like.
I have, go ahead.
What time did you say?
We're starting at 8 tomorrow morning. We'll do base seals product in the morning, and then we've got asphalt emulsion coming out at 1 in the afternoon.
I have a question. If we could back up to Link Road, I did get a call from Grant Prodco. And can you give me a timeline on that?
We are probably a month away from actually starting construction. The drilling was done last week. They took the soil borings, but the sampling and testing they need to do, it'll take us about 3 weeks to get that report back. And then we'll make final decisions on the paving section. I also need to get the hot mix contract in place. We'll probably sometime around the 1st of May, we'll be ready to actually do that work. I'm gonna get a little bit closer, get a little bit better handle on the timeline. I will be contacting those businesses and giving them a heads up that there are gonna be some disruptions. This will be a reclaiming project. That should go very quickly. And then the hot mix overlay goes quickly, so it won't be a long duration disruption. But for a few days there, it will be a disruption in traffic. But the road's wide enough, we're gonna do one lane at a time, where we should be able to maintain traffic at all times. We're just gonna ask those businesses to work with us and avoid using the road any more than necessary during the construction process.
Okay, and I'd like to get a number to you that you can call Grant Prodco and make them aware of it, because they did call out of concern yesterday.
I'm sure some folks saw the drilling crew out there last week and were curious as to what was going on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Do the residents on 446 know y'all are gonna be out there anymore?
We have not notified residents. There are actually very few people in that section. It's not gonna, and this is not an operation that will prevent anybody from using the road. At all times, they'll be able to drive on this material. And we'll be doing multiple passes, so it's an 8-foot width at a time, which unfortunately doesn't work out very well geometrically. We have to make 3 passes up and down the road. When you take the 8 feet out of the middle, it disrupts traffic. But other than that, for just a few minutes, shouldn't be an impact. And it is a very low density population in that area.
Well, we wish you success with that project, and hopefully it'll be something we can start using in the future that would cut down.
I'll be very interested to see how everything goes. It's not like these are new techniques. The one product is something I have not used before, but I saw some samples at the Tessera conference last fall. Looks pretty impressive. The base stabilization is a technique that is used quite a bit. That was actually the conference I was at yesterday was related to that. I think it's got some potential to help us out.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Walker.
Y'all, sorry, Magellan and Stripe, that's kind of in the area that y'all have been working, so
Yeah,
they might want to know.
Learn all sorts of things when you're in.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll move on to item number 14, consider and take action regarding the burn ban and authorize the county judge as signatory. Mr. Lilly, do you have any thoughts on the burn ban?
We're not having a large number of fires as of yet. There's every once in a while they've had some call-outs, but most of those actually been for mutual aid in like Montgomery County and other areas surrounding Grimes County. So There's no fire chiefs here today to poll on that, but I think that we're okay to continue with no burn ban at this time.
Okay. So we'll take no action at this particular time on the burn ban. Do item number 15, any updates on the strategic plan? All right. Then we'll move on to item number 16.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned.